What are the underrated guns that you guys should be using in Warzone right now? Let's take a look. Hey guys, it's FourEyes or Dave here, welcome back to another video. Today we are taking a look at specifically underrated weapons and underrated classes within Warzone that I think are really strong at the moment. Obviously we're in a DMR meta at the moment where kind of nothing matches that. It's pretty horrible, not very fun, but when that meta settles, when hopefully we get those nerfs through, there's a lot of guns in the woodwork which aren't being used and weren't being used previous to the DMR meta that I think are really strong, and the stats back it up as well. So today we're going to be looking at 5 weapons which I would recommend that you guys check out right now in your games. If you do find this video informative, then make sure you subscribe down below and hit the notification bell as well. It helps me out a lot and means that you guys can keep up to date with new videos when I post them weekly. Also, come over to my Twitter. I post over there daily about gaming, streaming, and COD, and basically anything going on with me, so it'd be awesome to have some of you guys over there too. As a quick preface point before we jump into gun number 1, I want to just say that there are no assault rifles in this video, which would seem very weird with there being so many in the game. I actually do think there are some very underrated assault rifles, but I haven't leveled them up yet, and I don't want to put guns in the video that I haven't leveled up, talking about attachments that I haven't used, because I don't think that's very fair or truthful from me. So there'll be another video coming hopefully very soon, but today we're going to be focusing on the other guns. So let's get into it. So the first gun today is going to be the Fennec, the SMG that was released as part of one of the battle passes. Can't remember exactly which one because there's been so many now, but this gun is an absolute monster. And when this gun was released, there was a lot of people jumping on the bandwagon, trying it out, and the biggest issue that it had was basically its very small mag. It meant that when you're playing things like trios and things like quads, it doesn't have that ammo capacity or that longevity in its shots to take out multiple enemies. But in solos and duos and potentially trios, if you can manage your positioning, it's an absolute beast. It kills quicker than any of the other SMGs in the game up close. You can see that from the data here. So it's definitely nothing to scoff at. It's got a really quick time to kill. And with this loadout, you can make it an absolute beast up close. So let's take a look at the attachments. Number 1, we are using the ZLR 18-inch deadfall barrel. This gives you damage range, recoil control, bullet velocity, and sound suppression. It's one of those integrated suppressors which are really strong in the game, similar to the one that's used on the Modern Warfare MP5. And what it does is it means that we don't have to run a muzzle attachment, which saves us space, which is nice. Next, we're going to really kit it out for some good hip fire, because hip fire up close in Warzone is an absolute powerhouse. So we're going to shove on the 5mm laser for the hip fire accuracy and sprint to fire speed, as well as the Merc foregrip for increased recoil control and hip fire accuracy. So this thing works nicely up close when you're hip firing, and with that little bit of recoil control, you can actually beam people at kind of medium range as well. But this is definitely for that close range mostly. Finally, to try and alleviate some of the problems with the mag size, we're actually going to run the combination of the 40-round drum mag, which boosts your ammo from 25 to 40. Does nerf your ADS speed a little bit, but you know we're going to be doing a lot of hip fire close to this anyway, and this thing's already really quick anyway, so it doesn't really matter too much having this lack of ADS speed. And then we're going to shove on sleight of hand, SMGs and sleight of hand. They're a really nice pairing, and having the increased mag size and being able to reload quicker on this gun allows you to win most of your fights up close, if not all of them, if you can land the shots. So the second weapon we're looking at is one of my personal favorites, and I also know it's a favorite of a lot of you guys out there. It's the PKM. The PKM is an absolute beast. It really was matching up to the Bruin at the time that was meta. The reason most people used the Bruin was partly because of just the meta drive of streamers and players that people are watching online, but also the fact that the Bruin at the time, using that small mag, turned it into basically a really strong AR. But that's been nerfed now, but the PKM's still the powerhouse it always was. And the Stoner, the new Cold War LMG, I know is coming into the mix, and lots of people are using that. It technically has higher damage per bullet, but I would say that the PKM has much better recoil control, both visual and actual recoil control. And it also fires a bit faster, so it can be a bit more forgiving with shots. If you're going to miss a couple, you've got that higher fire rate, so you're going to land more bullets in the long run anyway. So let's take a look at the class we're running for this. So Monolithic Suppressor is an absolute no-brainer, just giving you the sound suppression and damage range. It's used on basically every single gun in the game. The Cold War guns using that agency suppressor because you need to be suppressed on the map. No one wants to run around not unsuppressed. The barrel, this could be a contested point, but I've been running the 26.9 extended barrel just for further improved damage range, bullet velocity, recoil control. Longest barrel is usually a safe bet. Potentially worth trying out the 25.9 barrel. You gain a bit of movement speed, so a bit more mobility, but I think that having the recoil control is always going to be better. So 26.9 extended barrel. The laser, we're shoving the tac laser on this. The tac laser is a powerhouse attachment in Warzone because it gives you 3 pros: ADS speed, aiming stability, and aiming walking steadiness. All really good for a gun where you're going to be sat ADS'd, almost like a turret, with that 100 round mag on this thing, just absolutely beaming people. You do have the laser visible to enemies, but in Warzone it's really not that visible anyway, so not a problem. Optic, the VLK 3 times. Don't really have to explain much here either. The VLK is basically the meta optic for most people. If you want to run a smaller optic, potentially, I wouldn't recommend it on a gun like this, but probably go with something like the Corp Combat Hollow. That seems to be what most people like to go with if they want to have a 1 times on it. And then the Snatch Grip. This is probably one of the most important attachments on the PKM. It gives you recoil control and ADS speed. A really weird mix of attachments. These 2 attachments don't usually come hand in hand on any attachment in the game. So really, really nice. Chuck that on there, and you can ADS a little bit quicker with it. Definitely feels more snappy, and you get more recoil control. And having those recoil control attachments on there, it really, really buffs the thing and just makes it into a monster. So PKM is definitely a gun you should be using. Our third gun we're looking at today is going to be a fairly interesting one for a lot of you guys. It's going to be the MP5, which you're probably thinking, well, the MP5 has been used forever in Warzone. It's been like the meta secondary literally since the birth of Warzone. Well, I'm talking about the Cold War MP5, which only got added recently with that Cold War integration. I know that a lot of these Cold War guns, the stats and the attachments are all over the place, and a lot of them aren't truthful, so we need to wait and see kind of what data and testing is done for this so that we can truly figure it out. But right now, the MP5 from Cold War kills quicker than the MP5 in Modern Warfare. And it also kills quicker up close than the MAC-10. So I'm very surprised more people aren't using this. This is going to be another case of the meta kind of driving itself to the point where people just don't try other things out. But this is a gun you need to be trying right now because it is really damn strong. Attachments, we're looking at the agency suppressor. There's probably some arguments here that you could potentially get away with running something like a SOCOM eliminator here, which gives you that muzzle flash concealment, and it does actually keep you off the map decently. You still get a bit of a red dot, I believe, but agency suppressor is a safe bet at the moment for everyone because it's basically the same as the monolithic, and it keeps you off the map completely so you can stay stealthy. Barrel, I'm a strong believer in using the 9.5 Ranger barrel for the max amount of bullet velocity, because bullet velocity on SMGs is really important. It is in Cold War, and I believe it still is in Warzone 2. The Task Force barrel is another really good alternative, but it does give you extra vertical and horizontal recoil control, which doesn't matter too much up close, but it makes it a little bit harder to use at kind of that close medium range. And the other reason I'm not running the Task Force and I prefer to use the Ranger is because I like using the SFOD speed grip over the Field Agent. Field Agent is what most people would go for because it just gives you vertical and horizontal recoil control, and that pairs really nicely with the Task Force because the Task Force barrel makes you lose vertical and horizontal recoil control. But the speed grip gives you horizontal recoil control and gives you sprinting move speed, and this thing makes you run around so damn quick. You can just fly around corners and kill people before they even know you're there. If you have a dead silence as well, people stand absolutely no chance up close when you're using this kind of thing. So the SVOD speed grip and the 9.5 Ranger barrel, I really like that combo. Next up, we're going to be running the SWAT 5mm laser. This has been proven to give you the best hipfire accuracy. As I said, hipfire is really, really good in Warzone, so I'd recommend that you abuse it as much as you can, and this really keeps your hipfire spread down nicely. Lastly, the Salvo 50 round fast mag, which has basically been proven to be an almost broke attachment on most Cold War guns that have an attachment like this bottom mag attachment. It gives you increased magazine size, and it gives you reload quickness. So it's basically like you've got a big mag and you've got sleight of hand on. Now, the con it says it gives you is ADS time. That's a lie. It doesn't give you any loss in ADS time. This has been tested on multiple guns, and I'm hoping it's the same for the MP5. I'm almost certain that it is. And this way, that con may as well not be there. you just gain all of this amazing stuff for free. It's awesome. Definitely run this attachment, and this gun might become one of the new main SMGs when this meta shifts. I really hope so. Try it out. Next up, we've got one for all of you sniper fans. I know that there's different kinds of snipers out there. You might be someone who likes running around with the SPR or the Kar 98 and, you know, being quick and kind of quick scoping and doing that aggressive kind of sniping. Or you might be the kind of person who prefers being a true traditional sniper, using that HDR and getting those one shots, getting those amazing long range, crazy, like multi-100 meter kills. Well, if you are someone who either kind of falls in the middle, but more towards that HDR traditional sniper style, then you're going to absolutely love the Tundra from Cold War. Now, the biggest thing I have a problem with on this gun is that ADS animation. It's very, very weird. It feels like you're not ADS'd and then suddenly you are. And I know a lot of people have commented on that, but apart from that, this gun's a monster, and you should really be using it. The attachments that we're running on it, I'm going to run you through them, are the wrapped suppressor, which is essentially that monolithic style suppressor. Keeps you off the map, increases your damage range. Very, very good. Next up, combat recon. A lot of people are going to look towards this Tiger Team barrel and see that plus damage. It doesn't actually help you. I don't even think the damage is actually a pro. I think it's a lie. It does increase fire rate a bit, and it does increase bullet velocity a decent amount, but the combat recon gives you the best bullet velocity of all the barrels, and bullet velocity on a sniper is probably the most important stat that you can run. It makes the thing almost hit scan. I was actually missing more shots than I thought I was going to, purely because I was over-leading my shots. So, shove the combat recon on, and if you are at like medium range, you can basically just aim at someone, shoot, and you'll get a hit. If you can hit them in the head, you'll kill them. That's what makes this gun that good. Next, I'm going to go to the stock, and I've been running the SAS combat stock. I know some people would like the CQB pad because of that sprint to fire time, and the Raider pad as well because of the sprint to fire time. But the SAS combat stock gives you a crazy amount of mobility when you're in those kind of engagements where you're ADS'd and you're strafing around and you're trying to land shots while avoid some of those shots from the enemy. I saw a lot of people talking about this on the subreddit, on the COD Loadout subreddit. If some of you guys go over there, and I tried it out. You feel major mobile, like when you're ADS'd and getting into those fights. So it's a must-have for me. Strafe speed with snipers and with lots of guns in Warzone is a really underrated stat in general. So try the stock out and see how it feels for you. For the ammunition, I'm going to go with the 7-round mag. I think it's nice to have extra mags, ammo in your mag. Sorry, stumbling on my words there. In Warzone, because you never know how many people you're going to come in contact with, and the less you have to reload, the better. All of these other ones, there's one that gives you reload quickness, but I don't think it's too bad anyway. But all of these other 4 give you a reduction in ADS time, and we don't really want to lower our ADS time that much on a sniper because it already scopes in fairly slow. It's quite a heavy sniper, and so 7-round makes most sense for me. And then that's kind of all I have on it, and this is one of the most interesting guns in this video because I'm unsure of what to have as that 5th attachment. I've done testing with these rear grips, and all these ones that say they give you ADS time, they just don't seem to give you any ADS time whatsoever. So, and lots of people have confirmed this on the subreddit, on the True Game Data Discord. It's interesting. So, I'm not sure about the flinch resistance that the airborne elastic wrap gives you, or the SASR jungle grip, or the field tape. I think that is a really, really useful stat if you can get it, but I don't even know if that works that well. So I would say potentially airborne elastic wrap if it gives you good flinch resistance. Underbarrel, I tested these for things like vertical recoil control, which is a bit weird for a sniper, but I wanted to see if it, just reduced that initial shot, and it didn't really seem to do anything, so I wasn't running any of these either. I think one of the other options you can do is you can run some interesting optics. Specifically, there's this ultra zoom custom, which gives you a 20 times magnification if you zoom all the way in. This actually, at the moment, is a bit bugged. You don't get actually buildings rendered in at that distance, but it can make spotting people really easy, and with the crazy bullet velocity on this sniper, it's kind of awesome. So I've been running a mixture of either Ultra Zoom Custom for just some fun trying out see what it's like. Or I would probably shove on one of these flinch resistance grips. I think one of these is probably going to be the best. Let's put the Ultra Zoom on for the moment, because who doesn't love a 20 times? And the final gun for today's video is truly an OG weapon. This is a weapon that people were using back right at the start of Warzone. People thought it was probably going to be the meta, both in multiplayer in Modern Warfare and in Warzone, and it kind of was, and then it kind of fell off, and people didn't really know why. It's the MP7. The MP7 for the longest time was known as the accurate SMG. It's the SMG which you could pair with a sniper or pair with a really long-range gun, and it would give you really, really good mobility because it's an SMG. You know, it scopes in quick. You can run around quickly with it. You've got good movement speed. But it also had really good accuracy at range. And it kind of fell out of meta for very little reason, even though people knew it felt good. And one of the biggest reasons for that was there was some data that was actually wrong. So the time to kill, or the kind of drop-offs of the time to kill over range, people thought that it was one thing, when actually in Warzone, this has been found out recently, there was a different damage profile set for Warzone. So this gun actually only has one damage drop-off, and then from that range onwards, it is literally the same time to kill. And when you pair that knowledge with the fact that this gun is really accurate, I think it contends with things like the RAM, potentially the FFAR. I know they are really strong as ARs, but if you want something a bit quicker, a bit more mobile, the MP7 is still amazing. So let's look at the attachments. Monolithic suppressor. I'm not going to go into that. You guys know why. Barrel, I'm going for the FSS Recon. A lot of people also like the FSS Strike, but I am kitting this as kind of an AR SMG hybrid, so I want recoil control, and I'll happily lose a little bit of movement speed in order to gain that recoil control from the barrel attachment. I've gone with the Merc foregrip as the barrel attachment, so the underbarrel attachment, because this thing just doesn't have much recoil anyway. There's debates between Commando and Merc. Commando reducing your horizontal recoil, Merc reducing your vertical recoil. I like having hipfire accuracy in my back pocket because you never know when someone might come up close to you and you have to just beam them down. I've already explained in this video that hipfire accuracy is insane, and so I do like using the Merc for this. Laser. I'm using the 5mm at the moment. Gives you sprint to fire speed and hipfire accuracy. Pairs nicely with that Merc foregrip, gives you that up close potential. You know, the MP7 isn't going to be a melt machine up close like the Fennec, the Cold War MP5, or the MAC-10. It's not going to do as much damage there, but this at least gives you a chance to do well in some of those up close engagements. So 5mm laser is a nice attachment there. And then finally, fairly simple one, the 60 round mags. Just give yourself as much ammo as possible in this thing. It has a decent fire rate to the point where it doesn't feel like it shreds out your ammo. Like, you can fire for a decent amount of time and beam down multiple enemies with the insane accuracy on this thing. And it's still one of my favorite weapons to this day. It still feels really satisfying to use, and I'd highly recommend it for any of you snipers or people using long-range guns and looking for something mobile to pair with your main weapon. So, MP7, try it out. And there we go, guys. That has been my underrated weapons video. 5 weapons that you should definitely be trying out for different scenarios in Warzone. And I'm really hoping that we get out of this DMR meta soon because it's really, really boring. And I think we are all looking forward to that gun just being nerfed into the ground. So if you've enjoyed, as I mentioned at the start of this video, please do leave a like down below and subscribe for more videos coming very, very soon. I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.